Welcome back, my beautiful Alpha family. I know what they're saying behind your back. I know what they whisper when you walk into the room with that fire in your eyes and that silence on your tongue. You didn't come here to be understood. You didn't wake up this morning to be liked. You came here to dominate. You came here to flip the script on every sorry excuse they made while they spent their days group chatting like it's a federal investigation, like they're FBI agents and your life is the case of the century. They scroll through your life like it's a crime scene. Every move you make, every breath you take, it's suspicious to them. Why? Because you're doing what they can't. You're living with purpose, and that threatens every single one of them. They're not confused about who you are. They know who you are. That's why they pretend they don't. Who TF is that? They ask, knowing full well you're the storm that's about to wreck everything comfortable in their little world. They see the confidence, they see the silence, they see the grind, and it shakes them. Not because you're pretending to be great, but because you are, and they're not ready to face what it says about them. That group chat, that's their therapy session. They're trying to recover from the trauma of watching you rise. You've got people who haven't spoken your name in months, suddenly obsessing over your shadow. You've got them typing your name in lowercase, like it'll shrink your presence. But baby, your name rings louder in their mouths than their own ambition ever did. They thought silence would kill you. They thought shade would bury you. But you fed on it. You built muscle from rejection. You found clarity in isolation. The truth is, your glow hurts their eyes. You've become what they fear, undeniable. And no matter how loud they scream, how hard they type, how many passive-aggressive memes they post, it won't dim your eyes. Because you're not here to be part of their narrative. You're here to write your own. You ever wonder why they can't stop talking about you? Why you're the villain in stories you weren't even a part of? Because you represent something sacred, something dangerous, something that exposes their laziness. You are evidence that you can break cycles, escape cages, rewrite endings, and that pisses them off because they're still sitting in the same chair with the same mindset, fighting the same demons, replaying the same drama while you walked out of the scene like it was just a stepping stone. They want to trap you in their version of the story, but you already flipped the page. You left them in chapter 2, and now they're still huddled around the fire of your old self, trying to summon a ghost that doesn't live here anymore. Let them investigate. Let them dissect. Let them try to decode you. They will never figure it out, because you weren't built in front of them. You were built in the silence, in the cold, in the rejection, in the nights where the only person that clapped for you was the echo of your own hands. You were molded in the trenches, and now they're trying to comprehend the outcome without ever understanding the process. That's why it stings. That's why they sit together like a coven, whispering your name like a curse, because they know they can't touch you. Not now, not ever. There's something beautiful about being underestimated, something divine about being doubted. It becomes your forge. Every time they ask, who TF is that? They fuel the legend. Every insult, a brick in your empire. Every meme, a shrine to your resilience. While they're busy talking, you're building. While they gossip, you're growing. While they doubt, you dominate. That's the difference. You moved in silence, and now you're loud without saying a word. You walk in rooms and shift atmospheres. You don't need to clap back because your life does it for you. I want you to remember this. They group chat because they can't face you alone. They send shots in packs because they're cowards in isolation. They throw shade because standing in your light exposes the truth they've been avoiding. That they quit on themselves. That they settled that they accepted average while you were bleeding for excellence. So no, they don't hate you. They hate the reminder. Every time you breathe, it screams, you could have been more. That's what haunts them, not your success, not your confidence, but the echo of their own silence in moments they should have risen. So what now? You're gonna shrink because the audience is loud? You're gonna slow down because they're getting desperate? Or are you gonna burn so brightly they can't even look in your direction without feeling the heat of their own inaction? This isn't the time to be humble. This isn't the season for apologies. You earned your power. You bled for this throne. And no one who didn't hold your hand while you were breaking has the right to touch your crown now. Let them watch. Let them talk. Let them lose sleep over your glow up. You owe them nothing but the view. And when they say, "Who TF is that?" smile. Because that question, that's the anthem of the defeated. That's the sound of fear. That's the soundtrack of people who watched you rise and waited for you to fall, but now have to face the nightmare that you're only getting started. You are not their equal. You are not their peer. You are the storm they never saw coming, the force they can't understand, the fire they can't put out. You're what happens when pain meets purpose, when pressure creates diamonds, when silence becomes strategy. And the best part? You don't need to scream. You don't need to post. You don't need to explain, because your presence already writes novels. You could walk into a room and do nothing, and still leave with all the attention. You are the conversation. They group chat because they're trying to make sense of the incomprehensible. They try to turn you into a meme because they don't know how to deal with your reality. They try to reduce you to a joke because they're terrified of your truth. But you laugh, you build, you thrive. And when they ask again, "Who TF is that?" let the silence answer. Let your success speak. Let your transformation echo louder than their insults. Because every time they speak your name with confusion, they admit your evolution. And that, my alpha family, is the greatest revenge. Keep going. Keep building. Keep giving them something to talk about. You are the plot twist, the main event, the legacy. You are the threat they never prepared for. You came here for more? Good. Because the world isn't done testing you yet, and you're not done showing them what unstoppable really looks like. They're still watching, still whispering, still analyzing every move, like your existence is a glitch in the system they were told to obey. You're not just breaking rules, you're breaking them. Every time you refuse to settle, every time you keep going without their validation, you're chiseling away at the walls they built to keep you small. You're not in their group chat because you don't belong there. You're above it. While they sit in their digital coven, casting opinions like spells, you're out here conjuring empires. You don't need to be invited into their little circles. You're too big to fit in them anyway. And let's be honest, most of them don't hate you for real. They hate themselves when they compare their lives to yours. Your progress exposes their procrastination. Your power mocks their passivity. You didn't take shortcuts. You didn't wait for permission. You turned your breakdowns into blueprints and your pain into fuel. And now, you've become the mirror they can't escape. When they ask, "Who TF is that?" it's not confusion, it's denial. Because deep down, they know who TF you are. You're the one they swore wouldn't make it. You're the one they laughed at, ignored, mocked. Now, you're the one they study like scripture, hoping to find the cheat code to a life they never earned. But this isn't about them, is it? Number, this is about you. The version of you that stayed loyal to your dreams when no one clapped. The you that cried in silence but still woke up and went harder The you that kept the faith when reality screamed, give up. That version of you deserves everything coming, and not just the wins, not just the glow, but the power, the kind of power that makes people whisper your name like a legend. You are no longer asking for a seat at the table. You are the table. You bring the hunger. You bring the feast. You bring the fire. Keep your foot on the gas. Keep your silence sacred. Don't explain. Don't justify. Don't look back. Because every second you spend answering questions from the crowd is a second lost from your mission. And you, my beautiful alpha family, are not here to play small. You're not here to be palatable. You are here to shift reality. You are the blueprint that cannot be copied, the formula they'll never solve, the weapon forged in storms they never survived. They'll keep watching. Good. Give them a show. Make your life so loud it drowns out their doubts. Make your peace so unshakable that their chaos looks foolish next to it. You want to know what the ultimate revenge is? Not clapping back, not giving them a moment of your energy. The ultimate revenge is evolving so far past their comprehension that they stop even trying to understand and start just watching, powerless, silenced by your rise. And they'll keep asking, who turf is that? Again and again, louder, more desperate, because they thought they buried you. They thought the gossip would break you, the shade would bend you, the silence would erase you. But instead, it forged you. Now you're standing on the rubble of their expectations with a grin they'll never decode and a destiny they'll never touch. So rise, and don't stop rising. Walk in like the storm that rewrites the weather. Build in silence, win loudly. Let them stay confused. Let them group chat like you're an unsolved mystery, because you are a mystery to them, but a masterpiece to those with vision. And when your name becomes the legend they denied, smile, because you always knew. You're not just proving them wrong, you're proving yourself right. They'll never admit it, but you've become their obsession. You live rent-free in the spaces they thought were sacred. The audacity you carry, the audacity to believe in yourself, to bet on yourself, to walk like you own every room you enter. It unsettles them to their bones, because you're not supposed to be this composed, this focused, this alive. You're not supposed to have made it this far, not without them, not without permission, not without breaking. And yet here you are, still rising, still winning, still silent while they scream for a reaction you'll never give. You've ascended into territory they don't even have the language for. You're not just progressing, you're transforming. And that transformation, that terrifies them, because the old version of you was digestible, predictable, easy to label. The new version, you've outgrown every insult, every stereotype, every box they tried to cram your fire into. You're not just a problem now, you're an anomaly. And what people can't understand, they fear. What they fear, they attack. That's why they stay talking. It's a desperate attempt to make you small enough to feel safe around. But you were never made to be safe. You were made to be dangerous, not violent, not reckless, but dangerous in the sense that you threaten the status quo. You make people uncomfortable in their comfort. You make mediocrity look like a disease. Every time you walk with purpose, they flinch, because your existence is a living rebuke to everything they settle for. You make their excuses look flimsy. You make their fear look cowardly. And they can't stand it, so they open their phones and type. Group chats, threads, subtweets, whispers in the shadows, but it's all noise. And you're the signal. You're the one making waves while they drown in their own bitterness. Let's talk about your power for a second. Real power doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't perform. It doesn't beg for applause. It simply is. It's the way you enter the room and change the atmosphere without even trying. It's the way you sit in silence and still make people feel like they need to prove something. That's your presence. It's disruptive. And they hate it. Because no matter how much they try to ignore you, they can't. You've become the glitch in their matrix, the proof that the world doesn't need their validation to crown someone unstoppable. Keep building in silence. Keep moving with intention. Keep smiling like you know a secret the world hasn't figured out yet, because you do. You know that pain is power, that silence is strategy, that rejection is redirection. You've learned to speak fluent resilience, and that's what they can't stand. Because while they complain, you create. While they break under pressure, you evolve. While they rewind the same old conversations, you've already skipped 10 chapters ahead. So no, you're not going to stop. You're not going to dim. You're not going to soften your light just because it burns their eyes. You're going to get brighter, louder, sharper. You're going to make your wins so undeniable that even your silence will sound like thunder. And when they come asking again, "Who Taff is that?" you won't have to say a word. Your legacy will speak for you. Your consistency will scream it. Your results will write it across the sky in letters they can't ignore. Because this is your era. This is your villain arc, your glory phase, your ascension. And nothing, not gossip, not doubt, not fear, not petty comments from small minds, can pull you back down to where you used to be. You didn't come this far to be liked. You came this far to lead, to terrify mediocrity, to make the world remember your name, not because you begged them to, but because you became so great they had no choice. And yes, they'll keep talking. They'll keep digging, keep twisting your name in their mouths like it's candy and poison at the same time. But what they don't realize is they're building your legend for you. Every rumor, free marketing. Every lie, fuel for your flame. Every insult, a stepping stone. And by the time they realize what they've done, you'll be too far gone, too elevated, too untouchable. And all they'll have left is that same tired question. Who is that? And they'll ask it not out of ignorance, but out of envy, out of shame, out of awe. They think they're spectators watching from the sidelines, arms crossed like critics in a theater box, judging your every scene. But what they don't know is they were cast as extras in your origin story. They weren't meant to be part of the spotlight. They never had the range, the hunger, the scars to keep up with your story arc. You're not just walking your path, you're carving it into the ground with every step. You're the director, the script, the fire behind the lens. And yet they sit, mouths full of your name, hoping they can still catch up by tearing you down. But listen closely now. You don't rise by reacting. You rise by relentless becoming. You don't stop when they stare. You stare back with silence. You let your aura answer for you. Because when they realize their opinions didn't even make it into your atmosphere, that's when the panic sets in. That's when the group chats get frantic. When they start digging deeper, scrolling harder, reaching for receipts that don't exist, trying to manufacture flaws in a life they no longer understand. They call it concern. They call it keeping it real. But it's just fear dressed up in fake wisdom. They see your elevation and realize you've become fluent in a language they never took time to learn. Transcendence. And you? You don't need to expose anyone. Time is doing that job for you, because the truth always floats to the surface. And while they float in circles, you're scaling cliffs. You're building legacies out of days they waste. Every sunrise for you is a war won. Every night you lay your head down with peace. Not because life is easy, but because you finally stopped shrinking to make room for people who were never meant to stand beside you. You left behind the crowd mentality a long time ago. You walk alone, not because you're arrogant, but because you've learned. Elevation requires isolation. You don't get to the summit surrounded by comfort. No one claps when you're climbing. And that's fine, because you learned how to clap for yourself. You learned that your validation doesn't come in likes or mentions or side-eye praise. It comes in peace, in progress, in the quiet satisfaction of knowing you didn't fold. You never folded. Not when they doubted you. Not when they laughed. Not when they told you to be realistic. And now they can't ignore you. So when they type, "Who tef is that?" with trembling fingers and insecure hearts, just know, they already know the answer. That question isn't about you. It's about them. It's about what they let die inside themselves when life got hard. It's about the moments they said no to risk. The moments they chose comfort over calling. You said yes. You answered the call, even when your voice shook, even when no one clapped, even when it was just you, your demons, and a vision too wild for small minds. Now look how far you've come. And still, they whisper. Still, they poke. Still, they try to fit your power into their weak vocabulary, but they can't. You're not made of things they can touch. You are built of resistance, of grit, of late nights and early mornings and all the moments you could have quit, but didn't. You're not the version of yourself they remember. You evolved, you ascended. You became the thing they prayed would never survive. And now they're praying you won't go further, because deep down, they know you will. So rise again, speak less, move more, build like they aren't watching, because their eyes hold no weight here. You're not here to entertain. You're here to conquer, to set fire to the scripts they tried to write for you, and pen your story in flames so bright they have to squint just to pretend they're not impressed. Let the world sleep on you. Let them scoff. Let them stay blind. Because you're walking into your season of undeniable. No mask, no apology, just raw, earned, violent growth. Let them choke on your silence. Let them drown in your glow. And when they sit in their circles, phones out, hearts empty, typing again. Who is that? Just know, the answer is simple. You are everything they said you couldn't be. And here we are, standing on the edge of your next breakthrough. While they scroll, you soar. While they debate, you do. That's the difference. You never needed the crowd. You were always the one building in the shadows, crafting power in places no spotlight dared to touch. And now the light finds you because it has no choice. You've become magnetic. You've become what happens when divine timing meets unbreakable focus. And they know it. That's why the group chat buzzes more when your name is in the air. They're obsessed because they can't recreate what they don't understand. You didn't go viral. You went vital. You became essential. Their blueprint didn't include your rise, and now they're scrambling to rewrite their lives in the wake of yours. But you've already lapped them in silence. You've gone so far, they're just now seeing the version of you outgrew 3 evolutions ago. Let them study your old moves, like historians decoding the past. Let them try to trace your glow back to something they can mimic. It won't work, because what you've built didn't come from a trend. It came from trauma, from truth, from trial by fire. You don't just look powerful, you earned it in blood and silence. You turned your heartbreak into blueprints. You turned your doubt into drive. You turned your isolation into initiation. This isn't some story of success. It's a warning. A warning to anyone who thought silence meant surrender. To anyone who mistook your distance for weakness, to anyone who thought not clapping back meant you weren't watching, you saw it all, heard it all, felt every dagger wrapped in fake love, and you chose not to react. Not because you were scared, but because you were working. And now, the results are screaming louder than you ever needed to. They don't group chat about average. They don't stalk mediocrity. They don't question shadows unless those shadows are growing too large to ignore. So every time they gather to discuss you, remember, you've already won. You're in their mouths because you're in their minds, and you didn't even have to say a word. This next part of your journey, it's going to cost you even more silence, even more separation. You will outgrow people you thought would never leave. You will unearth pieces of yourself you didn't know existed. You will walk through doors that demand you let go of the version of you that survived. And that's the hardest part, because survival made you strong, but elevation will require surrender, not of your strength, but of your scars. You've carried them long enough. It's time to rise, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. You owe no one an explanation. You owe no one a heads up. Let them wonder. Let them squint. Let them whisper. You're not just a name now. You're a force, a presence, a movement. You're the proof that self-belief, when sharpened by pain and forged in silence, becomes a weapon too powerful to contain. They wanted you quiet. They wanted you soft. They wanted you grateful just to be in the room. But you built your own damn room, and now they're knocking, group chatting, watching, waiting. Who TF is that? They ask. That's the one who didn't fold. That's the one who chose purpose over popularity. That's the one who buried the old self and rose, a legend. That's the one who turned gossip into gasoline and burned every limitation to ash. That's you. Now walk forward. Don't slow down. Don't turn back. Don't flinch. The noise behind you, that's just proof that you're ahead. They won't understand you, and they don't need to. You're not here to be explained. You're here to be undeniable. Welcome to your villain era. Welcome to your legacy chapter. Welcome to the moment when the whole damn world finds out what your silence has been building. Let them talk. Let them question. Let them choke on their confusion. Because from this point on, they'll never ask, who TF is that? Again. They'll know. They'll all know.